Good morning, beloveds. Okay. And those of you who are joining us on Facebook this morning, thank you for being here. All right, so this is our first Sunday back in the new year. Happy New Year. Woohoo! Happy New Year. Hope that you all had a great, I need someplace to put this water bottle. Hang on. Let's see this here. If I don't have it, I'll be choking. If I do have it, I won't need it. Right? That's how it goes. Anyway, so it's a new year, and we have been working on, in the last December, we worked on a series called Ask Yourself This. And that series was about asking ourselves some questions so that we would begin to see what's going on, darling. It's on. No? I turned it off?
Yep.
When I got up there? How crazy is that? Is it on now?
Yeah.
How about that? Oh. Yeah, is it on now?
Check the.
You're fine.
I'm fine?
You're fine.
No can hear. All right, hang on. Let me take it back up here. I want you guys to see where I
have
put
such
it.
a soft voice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's going on. Anyway, thank you for sharing that with me. So we had some Ask Yourself This series that we were trying to get some clarity about who we want to be, what we desire, who we are, where we're going. Those were all the things that we did in December. And so now it's the new year. And this is a time when everyone does, New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions, and try to maybe put into place some of the things as we ended up the year. We're saying we'd like to leave. In fact, we had that burning bowl ceremony where we released some things we wanted to let go in 2018 and some things we wanted to bring into our lives for 2019. And so I want to talk with you about that today, about how 2019 can look for us and what God has to do with that. And so I want to talk with you about God's faithfulness and favor. And what does that mean? Well, one of the things that I want you to understand and why this is so important is because if you understand, and we talked about that this morning in our meditation and class afterwards, is what we're learning here, and one of the things that someone mentioned about the book we're reading, which is Eric Butterworth's Discover the Power Within. And one of the things that they read was that there is a thing about knowing about God and moving from that into knowing God. The difference between knowing about God and knowing God. And that's what we want to do in 2019, is to personally know and understand who God is for us. And so, God's faithfulness, if you look at what faithful means and what it means to be God, faithful in terms of being God, it's about God's constancy, dependability. We know we can depend on God to be with us all the time because, in fact, God is us, right? We are, God is, I am, and that is the truth. To be highly favored, to be a favored son. That's who we are because we are children of God. We are favored children of God. And so that means if we are truly God's children, we're blessed and highly favored, we cannot lose. As we go into 2019, we want to look at how knowing this and knowing God helps us to set our intentions and have the year that we're looking for. It tells us, and I've never even actually read about this book, Lamentations. Never heard of it. But anyway, it's a book in the Bible, and it's a good one. 3:22 and 23 says, "The steadfast love of God never ceases. The mercies of God never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is God's faithfulness." So if we're blessed and we are highly favored, then the question we want to ask is, why in the coming year do we need new resolutions? Why are we always setting goals? Why is it that we're not necessarily exactly where we want to be? Maybe we are in some places, and maybe we're not. Well, as we talked about in the class this morning, because it's an ever-evolving situation, I am happy not to be who I was 40 years ago. Right? Hopefully in 40 years, I've learned something. And so it's an ever-evolving situation. So every year I'm looking at what worked last year and where's the next level that I want to go to. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about next level listening, next level intentions. We're talking about why we do New Year's goals and resolutions. Well, it comes down to, well, what do we expect? You see, and I'm not sure if this is, someone told me this the other day, and it could be Abraham Hicks, it could be someone else, doesn't matter. Here's the quote. You don't get what you want. You get what you expect. Yeah? You get what you expect. Expectation, and this is me saying it, is a belief in an outcome. See, if you expect that every something always great happens in my life, then that's what's going to happen. Because that's what you believe. If you're thinking, hey, the worst, and I used to say this back, oh my God, if something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. I had to stop saying that. I was calling it down. Yeah? Calling it down. And so what do we expect for this year is what we want to talk about. And we want to get better at believing what the truth actually is. The truth is, all good flows to me. That's what we should be saying, because that is the truth. In your own expectation, all good always flows to me. That's what we know to be true. Now we need to get to saying it and believing it. So what is the truth? God is I am. If you don't know anything else, know that. God is I am. And every time you say I am, you are calling down and calling in God into your life. You are bringing up that consciousness and that awareness of, and so whether it's a positive or negative, God doesn't care. You're calling it in, and God's going to say, yes, I am everything I need to be. Yes. I am smart. Yes, you are. I am beautiful. Yes, you are. I am crazy. Yes, you are. Amen. Hallelujah. You see what I'm saying? Whatever you're calling in, God is saying, yes, you are, my child. Yes, you are. So it's up to us. So God's faithfulness, again, is His constancy, His strength, wisdom. Because I know, this is Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you. Plans for you to prosper. I'm not going to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And so we're going to take that knowing into our plans as we set our intention. We'll talk about that in a minute, about us setting our intention. But as we go into 2019, know this. God has plans for you, and God's plans are your plans. It's your I am that you're calling into place. I had the fortune of being raised by a woman who was highly spiritual. My mother she knew God, and I mean, she was not raised in a great home. In fact, she was given away. Her mother kept the little baby and gave away the older two, which is my mom and her brother. And she gave it to a woman who didn't want her and was angry that she had to watch this child. So she wasn't raised well, but she was smart, and she always knew God. And there was one place where I remember specifically, and she just always waited on God. That was her thing. She said, listen, God may not get here when I want, but God is always on time. And I will talk to you about how I upped that thinking, because I thought about that my whole life up to a point. And then I thought, wait a minute, that's my mom's thinking. I'm going to take that to the next level for me. But here's what I experienced. We were sitting, this is one of the many, many experiences where I saw how knowing God works and trusting and faith, all of that. She was a single mom working hard at Star-Kissed Tuna Company. So, yeah, she didn't make a lot of money. We had a lot of tuna, though. Just so you know. We had a lot of tuna. But so we were sitting there, and we were sitting at the house, and she didn't know what she was going to feed us for dinner. She just didn't know. She really didn't. She didn't have anything. but she set the table. She actually set the table. She had us set the table, and we sat at it. And I don't think we got around the table, all of us. It was 4 of us, so 4 kids and then my mom. We didn't get to the table good when there was a knock at the door. And the neighbor woman, a lovely woman, said, listen, I had this extra chicken. I had all this stuff I was planning on giving to my family. They didn't show up. Do you want it? This is my mom's life. It has always been this way. She just expected God to show up. What is your expectation? Is my question. That's what that story is about. What do you expect? And I later changed that for myself. I thought, well, if God is always on time, why can't I just say, get here a little bit earlier? Right? I mean, right? Can't you just get here a little bit earlier before I mess it up? Get here, step in for me. Don't be doing all this crazy stuff. So that's my thinking. It's like, he's not just on time, he's early. Always he, she, however you see it, it's George to me. And I just, George is God who I taught. George, hey, get here, this is craziness, and deal with this. Just turn it over. So that's how my mom was. So how do we get the life we want? How does it work? Well, there was this whole thing, and I've talked about this many times, about goal setting. And there was this whole Harvard study about people who write their goals down get more than the people who don't write the blah, blah. Well, that was a lie. It turns out that there was never any study. That study was not done. But there was a study done later. And this woman, this was all verified by many people who were upset because we were all repeating this. Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, everyone was repeating this Harvard-Yale study about goals. The point being this: we already knew it was true whether the study worked or not, because this is about claiming your life. Writing it down simply makes it real for you. So there is something to be said about writing it down. So what I want you to walk away with, there's 2 things that I want you to know this morning that this talk is about. We have to boldly declare our lives. We have to say what we expect. If we're children of God, God is faithful, and we're blessed and highly favored, why don't we have bold dreams? Why don't we expect our bold dreams? Am I moving out of the light there? Why don't we expect bold things to happen? So I'm saying let's declare our lives boldly. That's number 1. And number 2, write it down. Speak it out loud. And here's the reason why. We had, I was telling the story a little bit later in the talk, but I'm going to tell it now because I think it's appropriate. Well, who was the guy that was sitting with you guys for the burning bowl that said we didn't have at Christmas? Andrew, okay? So Andrew asked the question of Glenn, thank you. It's crazy, just a blank right there. Glenn, does it matter? Because we were writing down our what we wanted, and he's going to mail it to us later. And Glenn was telling all these great stories about how he knew that it worked. And he asked, does it matter that you write it down? Well, I want to share a couple of things. One, on the one hand, it doesn't. Because if it's what you expect, if it's in your heart, it's going to happen. We know that thoughts held in mind, all right, become like in its kind. There's some rhyme that goes with that. I don't know how the hell it goes. It's a great rhyme, though, if you guys know it. But anyway, so we know that. But here's the reason why that you do write it down. Because number 1, it helps you to get clarity about what you actually believe. Right? If you write something down, or if you're afraid to write it down, that tells you something about what you think about or what you feel about that goal. That's one of the reasons why you write it down. The second reason why you write it down is because you then print it on your heart. It's not only on your heart, but when there's something about physically writing something down that also imprints it. So it helps you to manifest your life faster. Now, my family lives a long time. My great aunt died at 104. Her sister died at 102. Another great aunt died at 114. My grandfather died in a car wreck at 98. So there's longevity in my family. But hey, if I got 100 years, I'm still not going to get everything done that I want to get done, right? So if I can make it go faster, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go and have the life you want faster? So that is one of the reasons why I say, let's boldly declare your life. Write it down. Read it to yourself every morning. And you don't have to have a list of 5, 10, 15, or 20 things. Write down one. What is the next thing you want to do? Just write it down. One thing. Write it down. Read it to yourself every single morning in quiet time, out loud. Now, I'm going to read something out loud right now, and I want you to feel what it's like to read out loud. We're going to have 4 declarations. This series, this whole month is called, and into February, I Declare. This is from Joel Osteen's book, I Declare. It's a powerful book, and it's about claiming your life. So we're going to start. There's 4 things we're going to declare, and at the end of that, we're going to give thanks. And by the way, I have a list of declarations in the back. John has it back there. Grab that on your way out if you like. There's more than 4. There's, 10, 20. There's a lot. Pick the one that you like. Add to it, whatever you like. For those of you who are watching on Facebook, I have pinned it to the top of the Harmony Spiritual Center's Facebook page, and so you can download it there. So here's the first one. Let's speak this out loud together. I declare I love and approve of myself. Say it again. I declare I love and approve of myself. See how it feels? Okay. I declare I am blessed with supernatural wisdom. That is the wisdom of God. It's supernatural. You don't know why you know, you just know. Don't even worry about it, you just know. Okay? I declare I always have clear direction for my life. We don't have to worry about where we're going. Spirit's right there telling us, here's where you're going. Here's where you need to go. Don't worry about it. And finally, I declare I am blessed with creativity, courage, ability, and abundance. And when you finish with any declaration or any prayer that you have, you just want to say thank you. So, thank you. I give thanks for this perfect day and look with wonder at what is before me. Miracles follow miracles. Wonders never cease. Okay? So, we're not going to goal set, because when you write a goal down, there's particularly if it's a goal you really want, it's a good goal for you, immediate resistance. Just immediate resistance. You got the critic coming up in your head going, excuse me, what makes you think? You got the lizard coming up going, you have never been able to do anything like that. Well, of course not. That's why you want to put it as a goal. Right? Because you're trying to move up. You're trying to move in your life. So yeah, those things actually do come up, the resistance. So what we're going to do for spiritual goal setting is we're going to have intentional affirmation, and then boom, it happens for you. It happens for you. Affirmative intentions. And I suggest that we have an annual theme. I have an annual theme that it's just a word or two in that we live with. I'm gonna move that off because that's funny. That we live with all year. And we do this, we say these words, and it could just be one word, it could be 2. Probably no more than 2, just so you can feel it. And every single day you can say it to yourself, and you know that's the direction you're heading in for the year. A couple of Christmases ago, not this Christmas, the past Christmas, I was in Colorado Springs with my son and his family. And his daughter, my granddaughter, and grandson. We all sat around the table, and she brought it up. She said, I want to share with you my theme word for this year. I thought, that is a great idea. So it could be something like persistence, loyalty, a two-word thing, evolve spiritually enlightened, joyful. Mine is joyous prosperity. Whatever, one word or two words. And we'll talk about this later. We'll go into a little meditation on that. But we're going to set affirmative intentions. And this is not about what you think you should be doing. We don't want to should on ourselves. When you set an intention for yourself, you want to, a mentor of mine, and her name is Tara Nicole Nelson. And she says, when you set an intention for yourself, gut check it. Right? Gut check it. So when you say, I want to be spiritually enlightened, whatever it is that a goal? Is that in your gut? Is that what you want? Or does your gut go, oh, that sounds like work? Right? Because it should be ease and grace. Ease and grace. Yes, there's going to be some issues as you move forward. You're going to have to call in to God for some information. He's going to have to share with you. She's going to share with you how you're going to get where you're going. But it needs to feel good. It needs to bring you joy, not upset. We're not setting intentions that feel like work. They have to feel like joy. They have to feel like it's coming from the right place of love and acceptance and not about how you are less than. Open and receptive. I am open and receptive as Spirit guides me to what? These are the things that we're going to be saying. This is how it sounds. And again, I talked about that burning bowl thing. What does it matter? Yes, it does. Because we know that whatever we focus on grows. So we set an intention. We have our theme word. We have the 1, 2, I have actually 3 goals. Because one is about self-care. That's just like an automatic. So that I have meditation every morning and I read some books about what's happening here. That's self-care. One is about you all and what I want to do with which Harmony Spiritual Center. And the other is about me and where I want to go. I want to write. So I do actually have 3. But I don't have 10. I don't have 20. I just have 3. You can have 1, 2, 3, 5, however many you want. But ones that don't make you feel like it's a lot of work. I got to be thinking about these all the time. So they're running in your mind. And I can't tell you that since I wrote it down and I read it every morning, things are coming to me that tell me exactly how a writing group just fell in my lap. Like, oh my God, a great book about how to write. And I only know how to write because I've written 3 books, but I was getting stuck on some things. And the thing that I was getting stuck on is what this book is about. So I'm telling you, it's a powerful thing, and I want to share that with you this morning about how we're going to go, how we're going to do it. And the reason we're going to do it is because we all are here to become the gift that we're meant to be. All of you are gifts. Do you understand that? To the world, to humanity. God sent you here with something on your heart. And that heart is what we are created to be. We are created to share that with the world in joy and in love and in peace. I absolutely love working with people. I know you probably, if you think about it, you do too, who love what they do. I absolutely love working with people who love what they do. I was to a place where I started hating going into Best Buy. I mean, not slamming millennials, but come on. Could you please wake up and get into your job? Just get the job done. So it was where I didn't want to go. But someone gave me a gift certificate and I've been hanging on to it for a while, and I just thought, well, it's after Christmas, there's probably going to be some sales. Because what can you get at Best Buy? I mean, everything is $100 or more. So anyway, I went there the other day, and I walked in, and a couple of guys came up, which is unusual. Usually you can walk around there, nobody does anything. But I walked in, and a couple of guys came up and said, do you need anything? Yeah, I'm looking for the speaker section. All right, they sent me over. So I was looking around. Have you been in there? They have about 100 different kind of speakers. You can, from small and Bluetooth and things in your ear. It was amazing. So I'm just kind of looking around, not really sure. And this young man came over. He had to be between 18 and 20, I don't know, really young. Brian, I remember his name, Brian. So excited about speakers. And he came over and he said, oh, are you looking for speakers? I see you. That's one. I don't want to disturb you, but listen, I want to share with you. We've got a great sale going on with these speakers, and I'll tell you why these speakers are so great. And he just went on to tell me, I bought those speakers. I was going to buy 2, but I didn't have enough of my gift certificate, so I didn't want to come out of pocket. So But my point is, it was he made my experience. He turned my mind around about Best Buy. So I'm not, I'm not convinced that they're not Satan. But I will step in there, and I will be looking now for more people like him who love their job. This is my point is this. We're here to do something that we love. A lot of times we're afraid. We're afraid to do what we love. Because why? What if we're not good at it? Then the thing we love now becomes tainted. You understand? But the thing is this: you're here to do what you love. There is something greater that you're just unaware of. There's a bigger picture. Because fulfilling your life, doing what you love, fulfilling your purpose, is also about service to the world. Do you understand that? To the world. And maybe it's just a small world, the community that you live in, but those people will love what you're doing. That kid didn't go to the Best Buy and start working at Best Buy so PJ Stanley could have a good time. That wasn't what he was doing, but he was doing what he loves. And those are the added benefits that you get to do and live a life of joy. And the people around you get to be joyous because that's what you're doing. That's why we want to claim our lives. So, this is falling off my ear too. All right, so we're going to boldly claim our lives. Boom, shakalaka. Claim your life. Declare your intention. Don't worry. You don't need to worry. If God is for you, who can be against you? God is for all of us. You don't need to worry. We were talking in the class this morning about what was the most important thing that you're getting out of the book we're reading, Discover the Power. And one person said, it's changed how I look at people. I can't no longer judge. I look at them and I see God, to that effect. And I can no longer do that. I can't judge them any longer. So, we are all children of God. We don't need to judge what somebody else is doing. You don't even need to judge what you're doing. Don't judge it. Don't worry about it. Be where you are, when you are. It's all good. You are evolving all the time. But what I want to share with you is if you think about it, God's supernatural favor is over our entire lives. Wherever we are is where we're supposed to be. And if we see something greater, if something is on our heart, which God puts things on our hearts, we tend to feel something on our heart and just go, what's that about? How's that going to work out? We overthink it. But it's there. God's not going to give you something and then not show you the way. And not show you the way. That's not what's going to happen. So we're going to declare our life. Every one of us has a dream. God has spoken to your spirit, and we are standing on the promises of God. Hebrews 13:5 tells us, keep your lives free and be content. Because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. So, we are limited, but God is not, which means we are not. We are not limited. This is 2019. So what is your intention for this year? What is your intention? So we're going to take a few moments. A minute. I got the clock there. We're going to take a minute. And I would like for you to get the one word or two word phrase in your mind about what you want your intention to be. Just 30 seconds maybe a minute, and think about it. Do you want to focus? Do you want more joy? One word, two words, that's all. Let's just take that minute now. Breathe deep, and let Spirit speak to you now. So we're going to take a deep breath right now. And we're going to make some declarations. So please repeat after me. I experience God's faithfulness.
I experience God's faithfulness.
I am certain.
I am certain.
I believe the Word of God.
I believe the Word of God.
Spirit cannot fail.
Spirit cannot fail.
I give birth to every promise
I give birth to every promise
Spirit has placed on my heart.
Spirit has placed on my heart.
I now become everything I'm created to be.
I now become everything I am created to be.
I am a beloved child of God.
I am a beloved child of God.
This I claim.
This I claim.
This I declare.
This I declare.
Okay. I just ask you now to just dare to believe. Just dare to believe. Dare to trust. The law of God has never failed. It will not fail moving forward. If you come to a place of knowing that in your heart, you will not be failed. Know it to be true. Claim it. Declare it. Know it. Own it. Declare it every day if you have to, until you know the truth. You are a child of God. You are blessed, and you are highly